You're listening to the Academy podcast, the podcast for people who can but don't know how. This is where you get actionable steps to turn vague dreams into blissful realities. And I'm your host, Omoshola Victoria Owolabi. So let's get started. Hey everybody, welcome to a solo episode with me that I have decided to title Omoshola's Can Do Chronicles. So this is where I get to share my personal journey on how I have overcome certain things that I did not have a clue how I was going to achieve them at the beginning, but I was able to find a way around it and eventually figured it out. So this is where I get to share my personal journey, because when you are always interviewing people, you kind of forget that you also have something to share. That is why I have titled this segment Omoshola's Can Do Chronicles, where I'm going to be discussing about how I found my identity and how you can also find yours on your journey to uncovering your life's purpose. Hello and welcome to another episode of Omoshola's Can Do Chronicles. This is a segment that I pulled out where I get to share what I know and how I overcame my personal struggles about things that I didn't know how to do, had no clue how to go about it, but I eventually figured it out. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for engaging with me. Thank you so much for hanging out here in my corner of the internet. I really appreciate you guys so much, and I do not take it for granted at all. Now, in my last Chronicles, I talked about uncovering your identity, how you can uncover your life's purpose from the perspective of identity. And I'm going to be continuing on that series today. So we're still talking about uncovering your purpose, but today I'm going to be talking from an angle of your heritage, understanding your heritage. So when I say heritage, what does that mean? It actually means, where do you come from? How does that tie into you uncovering your purpose and who you are? And when you ask, what is your heritage? Some people take pride. Like if you talk to an American, they'll say, oh yes, I'm American, right? I've never met an American who was not proud of being an American, right? But some others struggle. They actually feel ashamed of their heritage. And I'll tell you why. For me personally, for example, for a lot of years, I was ashamed of being a Nigerian. Not because there was anything wrong or I'd done anything bad, but because I grew up listening to the different stereotypes and the media, and everything I heard outside of my home country was all about how bad Nigerians are or Nigeria is. And for so many years, I was literally ashamed. If I were to apply for a job or go anywhere and they would ask me to provide my passport so that they know where I came from, I would literally be like, oh my God, maybe this is the no I'm going to get. But obviously, that was not true. That was all in my head, right? Because where you come from is nothing to be ashamed of. Your heritage is actually a vital part of what makes you unique, right? So your heritage, if you study yourself properly, has to do with where you are and your place in the world and what you have been designed to do. You know, it ties into the impact that you have to make. And that is what makes you beautiful. And another part of your heritage that I want to touch on real quick is your name. So what is in a name? Why is your name important? Why is it important that you actually sit down and find out what your name means? I'll tell you why. You see, in my culture, the name you call someone is absolutely important. And for those of my listeners who are Christians, I know you can attest to this as well, that in the Bible, there were different places where God had to change names in order for people to line up with their destinies, right? So your name is actually a very, very vital part of who you are. Like my full names are Omoshola, right? Omoshola means child of complete abundance. And believe me, it took me years, I think well into my adulthood, before I was able to actually link my name to my life's purpose. It took me, even I've been called that name all my life, right? So why it took me that long to figure out, I don't know. But it took me well into my adulthood for me to say, oh my God, wait, the answer has always been in my name. my name, Child of Complete Abundance, is actually who I am, right? And when I started to take note of how I grew up, the way my life has played out, I noticed that it ties beautifully into the meaning of my name. So I'll give you a few examples here. In the Bible, God changed Abraham's name to Abraham and Sarai's name to Sarah and Jacob's name to Israel. God was always in the business of changing names in order for those people to line up in the fullness of who they were and their destinies. Because I truly believe that our names are significantly tied to our destinies and who we become. Here's why. Every time, so your name, you will be called your name. I mean, that's what you get called most times, right? So every time somebody calls you your name and you answer, the person confesses who you are by pronouncing your name. And when you respond, you affirm what you have been called. So if somebody calls me maybe Funke, for example, I wouldn't answer that because that's not my name, right? I'll probably turn and say, who's the person trying to find here, but not me, right? Because that's not my name. But if somebody sees me and says, Omoshola, even if there are two people in the room with the exact same name, we will both turn towards the direction of the caller because that is your name. And because I have answered that name, I have affirmed what the person has said. So I've affirmed, the person has said, oh, Child of Complete Abundance. And when I say yes, I accept that and I'm affirming what the person has called me. Hey everybody, it's Omoshola here with a quick word from our sponsors. You see, when you decide to become an entrepreneur, one thing you do not realize you're signing up for is actually the amount of skills that you need to learn, especially if you're bootstrapping your business and trying to do a lot of things yourself. So things like building a website, social media marketing, photography, those are skills that you need when you are getting started as an entrepreneur. And that was what I was quick to realize when I started my business. But hey, Skillshare came to the rescue. With Skillshare, I was able to go there and take tutorials from people who have been exactly where I was, but are now experts in their field. So whether you're trying to build your website, trying to learn how to market your product on social media, or trying to improve on your communication and facilitation skills, Skillshare has got you. With Skillshare, you're able to learn new skills fast and effectively with step-by-step guided tutorials. And as a lovely listener, Skillshare has been kind enough to allow our listeners 2 months free of premium Skillshare. So to access 2 months free of premium Skillshare, click on the link below in the show notes. So this is why it's vital to understand what your name means. Because every time you call that name, if your name does not have a good meaning or a positive meaning to it, and you always affirm that name to yourself, oh, not good, not good. So sit down, find out what your name means, and try and study how that ties into your personality and who you are, because your name is part of your heritage, right? Because in the Nigerian culture, for example, another reason why your name is very important, right? Names are given based on events or circumstances surrounding the birth of a child. So in the Yoruba culture where I come from, right, there's an adage that says, Oruko eni nroni. It means a person's name affects an individual's identity, right? And like I said before, there are different instances in the Bible that supports this as well, where Moses is named Moses because he's drawn out of water, right? Based on the circumstances surrounding his discovery by Pharaoh's daughter. There's also Reuben in the Bible, which means the Lord has looked upon my affliction. Why? Because his mother was barren for so many years. And then there's Simeon, who was named, who means that because the Lord has seen that I was hated, he gave me this too. And that is a testimony of how Leah was not loved, but then she had the son. And then there's Levi in the Bible, who was named Levi because it means this time, it actually means attached. Because what Leah was trying to say there is this time my husband will become more attached to me because she was craving his affection. I'm not going to go into all of that, but I'm just trying to emphasize and let you see that most of the names that we have come from the circumstances surrounding our birth. And that may have a lot to do with uncovering our identity, uncovering your heritage, and how that ties into you uncovering your life's purpose. So I want you to take a pen and a paper today, write down your name and find out what it means, because right there in your name will hold the key to who you really are and who you have been destined to become and the level of impact that you have been brought here to create. So you need to sit down and write that down and understand how that plays into the bigger picture of who you're showing up to be in the world. So this episode is going to be super, super short because I don't want it to go on for too long. And in my next episode, I'm actually going to be talking about the third part to this, which is why am I here? We're going to be understanding the question, why am I here? That is, what is your actual purpose? So the first one, we talked about identity. Who are you? The second one, now we're talking about where am I from? Where's your heritage? And the third one is, why am I here? Why are you on the planet? You're not just here to take up space. I hope you know that, right? That there is more to you than what you are currently doing right now. So that is what I'm going to be sharing in my next chronicle, how I actually answered that question. So to recap this one, I found my heritage by, first of all, understanding the meaning of my name. 2, I looked at where I was from, not just my country, but my culture in general. How does that play into the larger grand scheme of things? How it was holding me back. And I decided to understand that, no, this is not supposed to be something to be ashamed of. This is actually something to be proud of. It makes me unique. It makes me uncopyable because nobody can be me, right? That is what I want you to sit down and do after this episode. Write down where you're from, the meaning of your name, and how does that make you unique? What are some things about you that nobody else can replicate? Okay? Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode. So there you have it. Thank you so much for listening. And for more content like this, follow us on our social media handles. On Facebook, it's at Icandemy, the Facebook page. On Instagram, it's at Icandemy. Or come say hello over on my personal page. On Instagram, it's at Omoshola Speaks. On Facebook, it's Victoria Owolabi. Feel free to reach out, introduce yourself, say hello. I love meeting you. And if you have any stories that you feel will inspire another woman to action, I want to hear from you. I really do. I love hearing from you. Send me an email to hello@icandemy.org. So it's hello@icandemy.org. And if you find this content valuable, please rate and review on iTunes. Leave a review. It matters to us so that people can find it. So like, rate, and review on iTunes, on Google Podcasts, and everywhere you listen to your podcast. Thank you.